Live. Welcome everybody to today's show. And today's show, Eugene, introduce us today.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of the weekly business show coming live from Facebook International. On today's business show, we've got a interesting guest, Jurie. So Jurie's joining us in today's show, and we're going to talk for the first time on the business show in a year. We're going to talk a bit about trading and about money, which is something we've actually been lacking. Well, it's been we've spoken quite a bit about the personal development and the e-commerce and all that sort of stuff, but nothing about trading or money or investing or anything like that. So I'll definitely see if we can get one or two more guys on the show with regards to that. Maybe get my financial advisor on as well. And then, guys, remember to like and subscribe. We're doing this for everyone else that's joining the show. We're doing it for our community. We're just out here trying to help entrepreneurs. So, link, like, share, comment, and then just tag anyone that you want on the show and that you want to share this information with. So I think without any too much fluff, Willie, let's get into the show and welcome Jurie. Welcome to the business show.
Welcome. This is a kind of busy man. He's busy moving and he's made some time to come and chat to us, guys. So give him a loud one.
Yeah. So, Jurie, I think let's get into the show. And for the guys that don't know anything about you, maybe just give a quick background.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate being here. I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for having me. So a little bit about who I am. I am a sales engineer. I come from an engineering training background. And I have recently only started doing in trading and looking at my finances and stuff like that. I'm obviously a son of someone in South Africa. I'm a brother. I'm a friend. I'm a father. And like I said, a full-time sales engineer and part-time trader, investor, and digital entrepreneur, if you want to, for lack of a better word.
Oh, cool, man. So before we jump into the trading and stuff, Jurie, I see you quite active on social media. So what's your plan with that?
Well, I just really, it was really born out of me I think a couple of years ago, I came across a guy's post that said, instead of consuming content, why not create content? And I started a blog years ago about STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and maths. Coming from an engineering background, I thought that was quite appropriate. And I really enjoyed, just creating content. So I think, it's all good and well to consume content on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you want. But it's also important to share your story. And that doesn't necessarily mean, just go willy-nilly, share your things. Find a purpose and share a message about that purpose. And that's why I started my social media accounts. Most of them exist for some or other purpose.
Yes, I think that is really important, especially when it comes to the consumption of media, is what is the media that we consume? What is the stuff that we're putting into our brain? I saw a post of a supercomputer in China, and I can't remember, some quadrillion teraflops of information that it can handle per second or per minute. And it's still not even 10% of the human brain. So the question is, what are we feeding our brain in that content? Talking about the social media, it's something that I've been wanting to get involved with a bit more and to put myself out there. But you kind of have that inner resistance of especially what people would think. Did you also go through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where the personal growth comes in, right? Is believing in your story, believing in this is who I am, and I want to, with this story, contribute something to the world. And coming from at school, I used to be terrified, absolutely terrified of doing public speaking. I knew it was important. I always knew it was important, but doing it, I would break up into a cold sweat just reading out of a book in front of the whole school.
So it's not just us, eh?
Definitely not.
There's that thing, Willie, I don't know if you've seen it, of the 10 top fears that people have.
I think public speaking is number 1.
Yeah, dying is number 2. So people would rather die than
go speak in public.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
But just so for the viewers, I think all of us who's doing these little videos get that resistance to do that. But I think it's so important, that's when people start resonating with you. It's when you've got that authentic stuff going. And I must say, I mean, for me, myself, Eugene, I don't watch these business shows at all. I'm too scared I look like a poople. But I've come to realize it's really not about that. So I'm prepared to look like a poople. But at least we can, share some information out there. That really gives me a lot of energy, knowing that I might look like a poople, but at least someone is learning from this,
Yeah. As long as someone takes out one thing, I think that's all that matters. And that's really mentioned that is authenticity, being authentic. And I think the community that you start creating, people start supporting, and you have this fear about what your cousin's going to think that you haven't spoken to in 3 years. Forget about it.
I think the main thing is that made the difference for me is obviously you have to practice to get better at getting your words out of your mouth. Exactly. But the other thing is just to understand that the people in the crowd are just like you. They're just another person like you are. There's no reason to be afraid of anybody's judgment, and the people that judge don't matter. Let them judge. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's most of the time out of their own fear, own resistance,
own fear and own incompetence
onto someone else, and say, look at that thing, and what are you doing though? And I see that quite a bit about with the online marketing that we do. Some of the comments, and you just think, yes, is this what you spend your time on? Really?
Exactly.
You scroll the internet and become a keyboard warrior and tell everyone
exactly.
Yeah. Let's get into the trading. Willie, do you want to go for the first question? Because Jurie, a lot of your posts and stuff is all about the trading, and I'm really curious about that, how the trading works. But I think Willie, go for it.
Yeah, so super interested to know actually when you made a decision to actually start trading. The reason why I'm asking it, this is really something which a lot of people can actually do from home without having massive business expenses and things like that. So how did you actually get into the trading?
Well, first off, before I start getting into the nitty-gritty, I really just want to say at this stage as a warning that there is risk. Whether you do trading or investing or any other kind of business or sideline thing that you start, there is risk. So gain the knowledge. Find someone reliable to teach you how to do it, or find some mentor or something, do a course, but definitely gain some knowledge before you just jump into it and start throwing money into it. That's the number one.
I think it's Warren Buffett which says, so I think it's Warren Buffett which said he doesn't get involved in stuff that he does not know about. So for example, he says he knows nothing about Bitcoin, so he's not going to buy Bitcoin. And I think that's what you're trying to get over here. So but how did you get into the trading?
Well, I started trading as a result of getting a pay cut in my full-time job. COVID hit. I was going along smoothly. I was making debt left and right. I was, enjoying my money and, just enjoying life. And then, COVID hit. You get a salary cut, and you just realize one income's not going to cut it. Number one. And number two, my finances are in shambles. I need to take control of this nonsense. Almost swore there. But the trading was exactly.
Very
So
proud
it's all right. It's not a
subscribe.
family show. Yeah, I was deep in shit. I was actually in debt review at that time when COVID hit. So I was already, taking control and starting making changes in my financial decisions. But then, with the salary cut, I just realized saving money is not enough. You have to find a way of generating income outside your primary income. And whether it's 1,000 Rand a month or 500 Rand a month, but you have to do something extra for yourself, because the company you work for is someone else's dream. It's not your dream. It's not your passion. And, you might be enjoying your job. That's fantastic, but you have to do something for yourself. So that's really when I started looking at, finding other ways of making income. And then I came across the broker that I use that offers an accredited trading course. So I started doing that course and I started trading with that. And I still learn on a weekly basis. I still pay my school fees regularly. So it's not like I'm a millionaire yet. Like Eugene, you and I spoke yesterday. You said that overnight success takes 10 years. So that's the second thing I want to send a warning out to everybody listening to this is be patient. Take the time and learn to do it properly. Otherwise, you're just going to gamble and lose money.
We often say, Eugene, when you start to become an entrepreneur, it's lifelong learning. You can't stop learning. The day you stop learning, that's the day when you actually see your backside. And that's really applicable in all different industry. I mean,
it doesn't matter what you do.
Doesn't matter.
Every single industry you need to learn, and we've got this. I think that's where a lot of the training courses make their money. Is they sell this get rich quick dream that everyone has, that in 1 year I'm going to be super wealthy, and they do it with trading and online businesses, and we've been through it. I've got personally a couple of 100,000 that I invested way back when in cryptos and stuff. I've got a tech background, so I understand it. And even though me understanding it, knowing what the use of each one of the cryptos is, who's running the blockchain tech and so forth, I still lost a hell of a lot of money on it as well. It wasn't just up.
I have never, ever lost money on cryptos.
Yeah, I suppose you never put anything
in. You never invested.
I think it comes back to that thing. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, just stay away from it.
Yeah. No,
get the education.
Tell me, how successful is your carrot bar investment been?
No comment. No comment.
Yeah, I know. I tried my hand at that as well.
Oh goodness. Anyway.
I think that is the point of it, is that it's lifelong learning, and we're just sharing our story. That's not investment advice or anything like that.
Please, guys, it's not investment advice.
Regardless what you do, there is going to be a process of learning. There's going to be some school fees that you have to pay, etc. Jurie, just on the trading, I'm curious about that because I've moved to a different platform now as well. What platforms do you use to trade, and what do you trade in?
All right. So firstly, I trade and invest, and that's another thing that I think people should be well aware of. Is trading and investing are fundamentally two different things.
Yes.
So I trade and I invest. Trading I do on the platform called Weide Trader 5, and the broker I use is Quick Trade. They're an authorized financial service provider in South Africa, licensed and regulated and all the good stuff. And then my investments I separate from my trading. So I don't mix the two, and my investments I do on Easy Equities.
Okay. Yes, that Easy Equities is an amazing company. I deal with some of the guys that we work in different businesses, and the scalability that they have is absolutely insane. Even especially now through COVID, just how the company skyrocketed and they opened up international and. I see they're busy with the thing. I don't know if it's out yet, but they keep reducing the minimum investment, because most of these investments you need quite a high capital to get started on. And I think that's what Easy Equities has made possible, is the entry requirements and the entry capital balance that you need to have. They just keep dropping it down and down through their investment portfolios.
Just making it available for everyone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think more and more financial companies start realizing that the masses don't have the kind of money that the wealthy have. And, if we don't do something, us personally as individuals, as well as the big corporations of the world, we're just going to, the poor are just going to keep on falling behind. So we need to make it more accessible. We need to make it more liquid is the word that in the trading world, so that more people can get involved. Now, obviously, that presents more risk for the individual because, if you don't know how finances work, if you don't know how finances flow, you're gonna, the risk is increased, and that's why I have to stress again that, people who wants to get involved in either investing or trading or any other profession besides their main primary income, go through the process and learn how to do it, and be patient with the process.
Cool. Jurie, just one thing on the trading stuff, just for the guys that's viewing the show, what's the difference between trading and investing? Because ultimately you're buying the same thing. What is the difference between the two? All
right. So on trading, you do stock trading. Like you said, you buy pretty much the same stuff you would do as an investor. But as a trader, you can also trade in financial currencies, so foreign exchange. So that's Forex. The main difference, I would say, between trading and investing is that with trading, you're making decisions in less than 24 hours and out of the market. Generally speaking, a couple of minutes can make the difference between losing money and making money. Whereas with investing, you really need to play the long game. You really need to be in it for the long haul, 3 years, 5 years or more. You can't be buying and selling on an investment platform. Also with trading, you can sell the market. So you can short the market, which you can't do when you're doing investing. But trading is a lot more volatile and the risk is higher. And that is why even, investing, you can still play around a little bit and, you can make back the money you lose over the long term. But with trading, you need to be on it and you need to be aware of what's going on around you in the world and not just what's happening on the charts.
Okay. And do you use the platform to automate some of these tasks when you do actually trade? Because obviously you can't sit in front of the computer for 24 hours.
Yeah. So I know people do automated trading. I haven't gone into it yet. I think maybe I don't trust the machines as much as I could, I suppose. But automated trading work for some people. For some people, it doesn't work. I don't do automated trading. I only trade when I can sit in front of the PC and make decisions. Once I get to a more expert level, then obviously I'll look into more automated notifications and that kind of stuff. But for now, I only trade when I can actually pay attention to it.
Okay. Yeah, and I think especially if you get started, just what I did is I invested a lot more long term. I read Warren Buffett's book, The Snowball. Absolutely amazing book. And he speaks about it as well. The longer your investment is, the less your risk factor becomes. Because over a long period of time, it'll almost always go up. So you don't worry about the fluctuations in between. Where with the trading, especially if you're working on big leverage investments, your exposure can get quite big. So I think for the average person, it doesn't really matter what you buy or how. It does matter. The more important thing is that you actually do something, that you start, because that's how you're going to learn. Once there's skin in the game, then you start paying attention. Where if you're just sitting on the sideline, then you have this perception of what you think it should be. Just a last question from my side on the trading area is for a general public that's never invested. So let's take all of us maybe 10 years ago or whatever it was, and we never even heard about forex trading or anything like that, or investments or anything. What would be one of the first steps that you would recommend someone get to?
Well, Eugene, I think we might have even touched on it during our discussion so far. I think the number one thing is, whether it's 10 years ago or now, trading and investing is the cool thing to do right now. But losing money is not cool. So I think the number one thing is start doing research, learn the financial market, learn the financial system, understand how it works before you start throwing massive amounts of money into it. Number two is be patient, take your time, and learn the skills and experience, and do the personal development, develop your mindset. And I think we'll get to that a little bit more about the mindset and how that affects you. And I think the third thing is start small. There's a guy on Instagram. I follow. His Instagram account is High Strike Trading, and he's got this. I think it's called a 30% rule, if I remember correctly. And you only put more money into your trading account if you reach a certain level of profit. So start with 100 Rand and then work up to double that, for example, or 30% up. So once you reach 30% profit, then step up into putting more money into it. Don't put in 10,000 Rand and think by the end of the year you're going to have a million Rand in your account. It doesn't work like that.
Does it work like that? There's no get rich quick scheme. So look at what's happened to Bitcoin now. A lot of people has again gone and borrowed money on their houses. Boom, crash, boom, bang.
So and then Elon Musk decided, he doesn't want it anymore.
Exactly.
Willie, I think that's an important thing as well. You mentioned there is don't make debt to start investing or trading. Don't make debt.
Exactly.
Find the cash somewhere.
Cool, Jurie. So we're getting to the hot seat side of things now. But before we jump into the hot seat questions, if anyone that's watching the show would like to connect to you, how do they connect to you?
Well, there's a couple of ways. Like I said earlier, I'm pretty much on all social media platforms. I've got a website as well, but I think the easiest is to go to Instagram. Go look me up at Weide Trader. That's WEIDE Trader, all one word.
Yeah.
And then there's a link on the bio.
As well,
we'll pop it in the comments, guys.
And then we'll share the details on the Mastermind group afterwards as well. And that's always cool. It's learning out of someone else's story. And I think that's one of the things that we're doing with this posting online and stuff. It's not sitting here telling someone you need to go do this and this and this. It's like, hey, dude, this is what I'm doing. Follow it. See what works for you. Yep, and exactly. I think that's how people learn, through stories.
Yep. Cool. Hot seat section. So, Jurie, just
first explain what the hot seat is.
So the hot seat is, we're going to ask you a couple of questions, interesting questions. Some of them are silly questions, so you don't have to think about it too much. Whatever you answer, there's no right or wrong. But yeah, just something fun. Cool. One adventure on your bucket list.
Parachute jumping out of air.
I've got a connection for you. I have done it. And I just found a place 45 minutes from here that's doing that. So we might all have to talk about doing that.
I just felt my stomach fall through. I don't know if I want to do that. Next question from my side, Jurie. Blonde or brunette?
Brunette.
Hopefully your wife's not blonde.
Yeah, well,
just joking. What are your role models?
Role models? Oh wow, there are so many. One person I respect a lot, Gary Vaynerchuk. He shares a lot of social media stuff. More local, Vusi Tembukayo. That man is amazing. Whenever he opens a mouth, he speaks the truth. I really enjoy Vusi's content. I really enjoy what he does for the South African market, for the African market.
Yeah.
And then my dad, my parents, my brothers, my sister, people close to me, and then God. I'm a Christian, so I look up. Whenever I struggle with things, I go look to spiritual well-being and just looking at understanding life better. I go console Jesus Christ, and people might agree, might not agree, but that's what works for me.
Hey, everyone's on their own journey, so definitely. Well, that's really cool. We've asked that question a few times, and there's been some guys that said, no, I don't have any role models, so I look at myself. And then there's someone that will say, well, I've maybe got one. And most of the time we look at role models as these external factors, these high elevated, like Gary V sort of thing. And I think it's refreshing. It's what about your parents and your brothers and your sisters and your friends? And there's so many people close to you that's a role model in a certain area of your life that we can look up to. And I think that's the beauty about these communities.
Yeah,
absolutely cool. Love that. And then what's the best advice you've ever given someone?
Sure, there's a lot. I like giving advice. I like teaching people. So I've over the years I've given a lot of people different advice. I think the thing that I'd like to say right now is start doing something. I think we, like you said earlier as well, Eugene, is you've got the resistance inside yourself of putting yourself out there, but many times that is the one thing that'll give you the most satisfaction. Many times, just whatever it is, you don't necessarily need to start trading. You don't necessarily need to start a YouTube channel, but whatever it is that you struggle the most with, tackle that problem. Solve that problem for yourself, and then start solving that problem for other people. Just start doing something. We learn on the job. We don't learn by sitting watching Netflix.
It's so interesting, Eugene. So every week when we chat to these giants, someone's got a story about just start doing something or just take action or whatever it is. I mean, Richard Branson talks about screw it, let's just do it, But I mean, that kind of is the key thing for me. And you mentioned it as well earlier, Jurie. You had to make a decision last year to start doing something. If you've not taken the decision, well, you can't make the decision, but if you don't take action, I mean, it's kind of, it's just a lot of words and no action, But so true. Every week it comes out. It's one of the number one things which we see people, well, the guys that we have on the show, which creates that difference of actually making the move on need is you actually have to take action. So, so cool. I think last question from me, and then Eugene, one from you, and then we can wrap up. So, let's think about it. One thing you can't go without.
Sure, that's a tough one. I think I just enjoy life. So I'm grateful for anything that I have in my life. I think the one thing that I can't go without would be my brain. I think that's the most valuable asset anybody has. Whether you're 16 years old or 50 years old, your mind is the most valuable thing you own. And Eugene, you said earlier, feed your mind with the right stuff and you will get the results eventually. And that comes back to the personal development thing, right? Is you don't reach a goal by standing where you are. You have to take the first step, and that comes with development. That comes with learning, and that comes with experience. And the thing that develops first is your mind, your mindset about overcoming the obstacles that you have. I think, and that really brings me to something else that I just quickly want to mention is that there's this almost unwritten, I don't know what to call it, attitude of people coming out of school these days, expecting to, just get what they want. Entitlement. Yeah.
Entitlement.
That's ego. You let your
ego
ego.
driven.
Yeah. I saw Vusi Timbukwayo do a story on this about the guy that started Chicken Licken. And Vusi got schooled by this guy. I can't remember his name exactly now. Many people watching this will probably know his name, but it escapes me now. But Vusi found this guy outside one shop, Chicken Licken shop, picking up papers. And Vusi was flabbergasted of why would he be picking it up? And this guy told Vusi that if you're building a brand, your ego doesn't matter. You can't build a brand with ego.
Yep.
So whether it's going into the job market, whether it's going into the job market or starting your own business, you can't be entitled and think you must just get the things that you have in your mind you deserve. You have to put in the work to reach your goals. And I'm talking a lot now, but I think that's something I'm quite passionate about.
We know someone else that talks a bit more. We won't say his name, eh?
It's really cool, and it's so important. There's I joked about it the other days. I feel like a walking quote book. Like for everything someone says, I've got a quote for it. And in this particular example, is you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for.
Yep.
And I think the guys that's going to take action, especially in the newer generations coming up with this entitlement mindset and sitting back and everyone must just do everything for me, and if I don't have it, then I don't know what to do.
Yep.
If you take action, you're going to leapfrog these guys. You're going to leapfrog everyone else that's not taking action. And that gap is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, which means your success is going to be bigger as well.
Yep.
And it's not about how big the business is. The bigger the problem is that you solve. What is the problem that you're solving? The bigger the problem is, the bigger your business becomes.
Yep.
And last thing from my side, Willie, and then we can cut off as well, is what you mentioned, Jurie, and I totally agree with that, is where you mentioned it's almost like this faith that you have to have in your progress. And whether you look to God or Buddha or whatever your religion is, or spirituality or whatever, it's about taking that leaps of faith to create your dream life. You can't sit back with this entitlement attitude and think that life is going to give it to you. You have to take that leap of faith and you have to take that action step.
Yep.
So
spot on.
I think, yes, I still want to talk about the personal stuff. I see we're out of time. Jurie, we're going to have to get you back on so we can carry on with this and talk about the personal development side, because that's a big part of the investment as well, is your mindset and how you analyze stuff and so forth. So we're going to have to get you back on, Jurie, so we can talk about it.
I really enjoyed the conversation. I also feel we could talk about this for the next 2 hours still. Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. I'd love to be back on and continue this discussion as well.
Oh, cool, guys.
Awesome.
Jurie,
thanks for your time. And I think thanks for the viewers as well. Willie?
Yeah, awesome, guys. Jurie, thanks so much for your time. I know you're a very busy guy. And to the viewers, thank you for pitching up every week. Without you, there wouldn't be a show. And hopefully you learned one thing today, and which means is we've succeeded with our goal. And guys,
what's the one thing?
What's the one thing? So anyway, cool, guys. See you next week on the show.
See you next week on the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers.